Let's talk about the difference between a data analyst and a data scientist. In this video, we'll check out both careers and which one is best for you, because both are great, but everyone should not be a data analyst and everyone should not be a data scientist. And the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to talk about the responsibilities of each role. We're going to get into the qualifications that you need to get each job. We're going to talk about the specific skills and tools you'll be working with and that you need to know. And then we'll also get into the salaries, because there are a few differences between these jobs. And then a final recommendation at the end where I'll go through what I think is best for you. So let's get into the responsibilities. Firstly, we have data analyst. Also, this is a really broad view of this because your responsibilities are going to depend a lot on your role and also, of course, on the company and so on. So these are just a few key things. You'll be collecting and interpreting data. You'll be analyzing results and pinpointing trends. You'll be creating data visualizations and reports. You'll also help enable data-driven decision making. For data scientists, it's a little bit different because you'll be working with large and or complex data sets usually. You'll be developing predictive models and machine learning algorithms. You'll also be communicating data insights to stakeholders just like a data analyst and also help enable data-driven decision making. A key thing here is that these responsibilities are actually changing in real time, and we are going to be talking about this because it really depends. That's why I want to give you a heads up because you need to read the job description. Responsibilities can actually vary a lot depending on the company, and it's really important that you read it. For example, the responsibilities in one company might be completely different to what a data scientist would do in another company, and vice versa with data analysts. So I would highly advise you to read the job description before you apply to something. There are a few qualifications that you need to become a data analyst and also a data scientist. And firstly, for a data analyst, it's definitely an advantage to have a bachelor's degree. Do you need it? No, you don't actually need a bachelor's degree to become a data analyst. I know a lot of people that are data analysts and they don't have a bachelor's degree, but if you're getting one, it's really advantageous to get one in a quantitative field, like for example CS, math, CS of course, computer science, math, and so on. But you can also definitely learn a lot of the things with in-demand skill training, like courses and boot camps, etc. And they're often available online and for a really low cost, which I definitely like. And the reason why this is also such an advantage is because in a degree, you're not necessarily going to be learning the most updated, the most in-demand skills, whereas in a online course, you'll actually be learning those things. But of course, if you do have a degree, the data scientist almost always needs a degree. Now, if you started as a data analyst and you worked your way up or something, you could actually become one without a degree, but in most cases, you do need a bachelor's or a master's degree, and also in a quantitative field like computer science, math, statistics, and so on. When you're a data scientist, you will also need a very strong mathematical background, because unlike a data analyst, you'll actually be digging deep into machine learning algorithms. You'll be working a lot with complex mathematical formulas and algorithms, which means that you definitely need a strong mathematical background, which could also be one of the reasons why they prefer that you have a bachelor's or a master's in a field like computer science or math, where you essentially have to take a lot of math courses. Essentially, they can see that a candidate that have a bachelor's or master's in one of those fields will have a strong mathematical background and an understanding of all of these things. You will also need strong programming skills, which is just a key thing that you'll be doing. Of course, as a data analyst, you will also need to program, but as a data scientist, you'll need much stronger programming skills in multiple languages. Thank you to NordPass for sponsoring this video. Like most people, I have lots of accounts, and with that comes a lot of passwords. We often hear about people getting hacked, but it feels so far away until it actually happens to ourselves, which is what happened to me, and since then, I really understand how important it is to stay safe online. The most effective thing you can do is to keep your passwords strong and secure. With the NordPass Business Password Manager, you'll save time and energy while staying secure online. NordPass helps keep your passwords in one secure location and autofills passwords when you're on, for example, a website, making it possible to work across devices and apps uninterrupted. You can also share notes, logins, and card information with your team while staying secure, which I really like, because you want the right people to have access without sticky notes or sending an email where the information could be stolen or seen by someone else. Plus, even better, NordPass will detect if your accounts have been breached so that you can fix it before any damage occurs. In a company, it actually only takes one compromised account to cause massive damage, so even if you think you're secure, someone in your team might not be, and that's a huge risk. With NordPass Business, you and your team are protected together. It's super simple, you have everything in this one app, which is available on your computer, your phone, and also as a browser extension. Now, NordPass have been so kind to offer you guys a free 3-month trial of their business plan. Head over to nordpass.com/LucasNordPass and use code LucasNordPass to get started. Again, thank you to NordPass for sponsoring this video. This is a picture that I really like to use to describe data scientist versus a data analyst, because as you can see here, there are 3 fields: computer science, math, statistics, and domain knowledge. But of course, these sort of integrate with each other, and it's also a little bit weird to separate it, I know, but I'm just trying to visualize it for you in the best possible way that I can. The data scientist is more into the computer science field. Now, of course, math and statistics definitely go into that field, but as you can see, a data analyst is more domain knowledge and some math and statistics, whereas the data scientist is more going to be doing a lot of computer science stuff. They're going to be developing machine learning algorithms. They're going to be working more towards that. Now, when it comes to the actual skills, I'm just going to be listing a few main things because there's no need to overcomplicate this. A data analyst will essentially have to know SQL. They will have to know Python or R. Now, of course, it's going to be an advantage if you know both of them because different companies use different programming languages. But I would say that in most cases, Python is going to be the biggest advantage and it's going to be the most useful thing to have in your arsenal. Now, Power BI and Tableau is also going to be really important because you need to visualize something, actually visualize the data, visualize the results. But you do need to know at least one of these tools to become a data analyst usually. Also, Excel, you're going to be working a lot in Excel, usually when you're dealing with smaller data sets or something like that. But Excel is still going to be a fundamental skill. You need to know how to apply formulas, how to make calculations, and definitely how to be an expert in Excel. Also, you should know either of these ones. Now, of course, it's going to depend on the company. You should definitely know one of them. And it's becoming more and more important because cloud is just becoming a bigger thing in data in general. For data scientists, it's a little bit different because like at first you're going to have the same things. It's going to be SQL, Python, or R, but obviously at a higher level than a data analyst normally because you're going to be doing a lot more advanced stuff compared to a data analyst. You should also know Power BI or Tableau, just like a data analyst, and Excel, of course, but also big data and more tools to actually work with this, like Apache Spark. That's going to be really useful as a data scientist. You should also be familiar with deep learning and machine learning frameworks, for example, TensorFlow, and these things are just going to be really important. I do want to emphasize that as you can see with all of these things, it's a lot more technical things, and the most important thing is that you know the fundamentals because the field is actually changing, so just keep that in mind as well. And of course, you're also going to be integrating other programming languages because as a data scientist, you might actually be working in some other programming languages depending on the tasks that you're doing. When it comes to salaries, you can see that there's actually quite a big difference in these roles, and I'll explain why this is. These salaries are based on the US averages, and they're going to depend a lot depending on your location, employer, industry, and more. But as you can see, for data analysts, the median entry-level salary is around 50 to 60K. This is of course going to depend on the company that you actually work for, and it actually depends a lot, and I'll show you this on the next page. Medium level, sort of 70 to 80,000 per year. Senior, about 80 to 100K. Senior, about 80 to 110K per year. And let's compare that to data scientist that makes around 80 to 100K entry level. Now, there's actually been some debate whether any jobs in data science are entry level. I personally think that the qualifications that you need to get an entry level job as a data scientist are very high to the point where it's not really an entry level job in my opinion. Mid-level around 100K to 120K per year, and senior 120K to 160K. This can also be a lot higher depending on the company that you work for. Top companies definitely pay more. Like the salaries go a lot higher than the ones we saw before. And also if you look at companies like Google, which are not on the screen, and these are also for data scientists, and as you can see, like 200K a year, that's obviously going to be very rare, but it does actually exist. And if you're very senior working for a specific company, it might actually be possible. Now, my final recommendation about this is that data analyst is definitely for people who are interested in interpreting data and finding trends, whereas they're also more interested in working with numbers and focusing on statistical analysis. They should also be more focused towards business decisions and reporting using the data that they find, and they shouldn't be like a huge fan of math and programming. So I think it's more for those who aren't a huge fan of math, programming, computer science, that kind of stuff. Data scientists will explore complex and big data sets and extract deeper insights than a data analyst usually does. They will also have a very strong coding background and enjoy predictive modeling and machine learning and more technical concepts in general. So it of course really depends on what your ambitions are. I think that if you don't want the technical side, data analyst is going to be generally the better option for you. Data scientists, their job is usually a little bit more complex, more technical. In the beginning, it's definitely going to be harder to get into the field, but eventually it's going to pay more money. So it sort of depends on who you are. And again, to get a free 3-month trial of NordPass Business, make sure to go to nordpass.com/LucasNordpass and use my code LucasNordpass. The link is also in the description. If you want to learn more about becoming a data analyst or a data scientist, check out this video here, and thank you for watching this video.